The true cause of burnout. If stress would be really the cause of burnout, then why isn't every business owner that has a lot of stress burned out? So basically we can say this is not the case anymore. Another thing that a lot of people say to people that have burnout is that they have any kind of mindset issues, that they're not following their purpose, that they're also just not meditating enough, that they don't have a good stress resistance, or that they don't work around their stress better. But the thing is, I bet that there are a lot of entrepreneurs or business owners that have a great mindset, they meditate every day, but they still get burnout. So we can also say to this, it's also bullshit. But then if stress is not causing burnout, and if a bad mindset or not the right mindset is not causing burnout, then what is causing burnout? And to understand this better, I want to show you something, or I want to give you an example basically about Jimmy and Mike. Jimmy and Mike, they both have the same stress levels. So let's just picture that they have the same stress levels. Let's picture that they run a business, they have the same stress levels, they have the same financial situation, the same family situation. Both, they have a wife, they have 2 kids, but Jimmy is happy and he doesn't have any burnout. But Mike is not happy because he has a lot of burnout and he can't work anymore. So same situation, but one guy is getting burnout and the other one is not getting burnout. Why is that? And to understand this better, you can picture a swimming pool. You can picture a swimming pool. And in the swimming pool, there's here water coming in and water coming out. Okay, and I want you to imagine that the swimming pool is basically your brain. And here you feed your brain with the right kind of nutrients, and here you lose some nutrients because they get used up. You have stress and they get used up even more. So it is all in balance basically if you're not burnout. But if you have burnout, the biggest issue is that your brain becomes deficient. So there's more water running out of the swimming pool than coming in. Basically, to better understand it, there are more nutrients getting used up in your brain than nutrients are coming in. And there are different factors on why this is happening. And the biggest factor is basically your own diet, of course. And your own diet plays probably the biggest role. It plays the biggest role when it comes to burnout. Because, as I just explained, it's about what you get in your brain. And if you don't get the right nutrients in your brain, and if the nutrients that you already have in your brain that are good for the brain gets used up, then you get deficient and then you get burnout. So, what are the 3 most important nutrients or nutrient groups that your brain needs? The first one is glucose. Glucose from fresh fruits, from honey, for example. This is what is fueling your brain. This is what's the best energy source for your brain. Many people say the brain is made out of fat, the brain needs fat. The brain only needs a little bit of traces of omegas, but the main source or the main fuel for the brain is glucose. The brain is mostly made out of glycogen storage. And if you don't give your brain enough glucose, then it gets deficient. The same is going on with trace mineral salts. And the problem here is, what are trace mineral salts doing? Basically, they are the conductor for your brain. They keep the electrical grid alive, that electrical impulses in your brain can run through your brain, that you can have clear thoughts, that you don't get stressed out so easily. So if you don't have trace mineral salts, you are missing out the conductor for your brain. And most people think, yeah, you can get like a high quality sea salt, but salt, plain salt, is by far not a good source for your brain. It's not a good source for mineral salts or trace mineral salts. The better sources are, for example, green juices, celery juice, cucumber juice, any kind of leafy greens. These are the mineral salts, the trace mineral salts that your brain needs the most. And the third most important nutrient or nutrient group for your body is vitamin B12. And why do we have nuts and bolts here? You can picture your brain like a car body, and there has to be something that is holding the car body together. And these are the nuts and bolts. And basically, B12 is what is holding your brain together. B12 is the nuts and bolts for your brain. So you can picture B12 like it's one of the most essential nutrients, but I'm saying vitamin, it's the most essential vitamin for your brain that is keeping everything together, that is keeping your brain stable. So these are the most important nutrients, and if you don't get enough of these, you are already more susceptible for burnout because you don't fuel the brain with the right kind of nutrients here, and the nutrients that you already have get used up more quickly and you don't get the right nutrients in. So this is a big problem when it comes to burnout, and nobody's talking about that. They just say to you, yeah, you have too much stress, you're inferior, your mindset is not good enough, you're not following your purpose. That's all bullshit. And it's not your fault that you have burnout. I have to say this as well. Because a lot of people, they also put the blame on you. But I'm telling you, just because they don't say to you what are the right things to eat or what you should take care of, doesn't mean that you are faulty, that you're not strong enough, that you're not stress resistant enough. It's not because of that. And the next thing that can highly influence the way if you get burnout or not are chemicals in your brain. Because the more toxins you have in your brain, the more vitamins and nutrients get used up. Because, for example, if you have a lot of toxic heavy metals in your brain, for example, you use a lot of perfume, toxic heavy metals are in there. You use a lot of scented candles, a lot of toxic heavy metals are in there. There are so many sources. You don't eat organic, for example, for the most part. Pesticides are loaded with toxic heavy metals. So if you have a lot of toxic heavy metals in your brain, then trace mineral salts get used up more easily, and you get depleted in trace mineral salts so fast if you have a lot of toxic heavy metals in your brain. Other nutrients get used up as well pretty fast. Glucose, vitamin B12, also all kinds of mineral salts get used up if you have a lot of MSG in your brain. Because a lot of people, a lot of business owners especially, they are hooked on caffeine and they are hooked also on these energy drinks where there are not a lot of natural flavors in there, artificial flavors, and this is just hidden MSG that is building up in your brain over time. And if you have more toxins in your brain, then your brain uses more nutrients. And the last thing is viruses. They create viral inflammation in your brain, and this means that your brain needs more power to battle that. So if you have more toxins, if you have more pathogens in your brain, then nutrients get used up more quickly, which can lead to an easier burnout, or which can make you more susceptible for burnout. See how all these things are influencing the way you get burnout, and that's why Jimmy is happy and Mike is getting burnout, because Mike maybe has more toxic heavy metals in his brain, Mike is not taking care of his food, and Jimmy is taking care of his food, he is hydrated, he maybe is just lucky that he wasn't exposed to so many toxic heavy metals in his life, and these are the biggest factors that are responsible for burnout. So it's not your fault. So if you are a professional, if you are a business owner and you have burnout, you have the symptoms of burnout, you feel like there's something missing, you feel like you can't handle the stress anymore, you feel like you're not that stress resistant anymore, you feel like everything is getting too much, you can't handle the stress anymore, you can't handle the task that you have to do anymore, you cannot be there for your family because you have to sleep more. All these kind of things, all these things that are just that we can associate with burnout. If you need help with that, there's a link in the description where you can book a free discovery call with me, where we can look at your situation, where we can look at your body and see where you need, what kind of nutrients you need, what kind of help you need, and that we can support you in the right way, that you can get rid of your burnout and have the life you actually want, that you are more stress resistant, and you can handle all the tasks in your life. And I'm telling you, there is hope. It is not your fault, as I explained in the video. Even if you don't book the call, if you apply the things that I just explained here, they will help you already. So I would say see you in the next video, and thank you for watching the video.